Yeah, be good. Now is it on? Hurrah. I didn't think to switch it on. I normally have someone to do that for me at all times. Thank you very much. My name is Kim Moore, and I'm a senior lecturer in creative writing here at Man-Met and the deputy programme leader of the MA and the MFA in creative writing. Welcome to our alumni showcase. I'm really excited. I really enjoy these events. I'm really excited to be hosting two brilliant alumni, Kate Lord-Brown and Tina Cole. That needed a woo. That's better. We have entered pantomime season in March. Very good, Tina. Okay, so part of my remit as deputy programme leader is to continue to develop the kind of community spirit of Manchester Writing School that we already do really well here, I think, but just to kind of build on it and build those connections. And I thought between students, but I also think one of the lovely things about the alumni events is that we get to bring the students back, because I think if we do our job really well, the students go off, and the next time we see them there, we see, oh, they've got a book published, or they've got a magazine, or so it's nice to bring them back and see them flourishing as kind of writers in their own right. But I also wanted to bring in some current students as well, and I sent a call out, planning to just have two, but then the students that applied were so brilliant, and I thought I don't want to leave any of them out. So we've got five students reading first of all, and then we're going to hear Tina for a 20-minute set. I'll tell you more about Tina later on, and then Kate for a 20-minute set. And then we're going to have a Q&A where we get to grill them mostly about writing, but I think you could also ask for general life advice. And then we'll have time for book signing, because we need to send them away with no books, because Tina has got some slim volumes of poetry they're too heavy to carry back home, aren't they? And Kate has a beautiful golden suitcase of books. It's very heavy. We don't want to send Kate home with her heavy suitcase, just a nice empty golden one. Okay, so we are going to start with Dominic Walsh, who is one of our foundation students. Well, that was the other thing I wanted to tell you about the students. We've got them from across the programme. So we've got foundation student. Dominic will be going into first year undergrad next year. We've got a first year undergraduate student, 2 MA students, and a PhD student, and a partridge in a pear tree. So first of all, microphone is one of our keeps cutting in and out. Who is one of our foundation students. So I'm very lucky to teach Dominic. Not only is he a brilliant writer, but he is also the stationery king of our class. So if anyone doesn't bring paper pens, Dominic pulls one out of every pocket and says, I've got everything. So please welcome Dominic.
Hi. Thanks a lot, Kim. Hi, everyone. You okay? Okay. Is it working? No, it's the frequency. Let's try that. Thanks so much. This poem is a poem I worked on with Kim in class, and well, here it is. His joints are filled with dust. Hugh Jackman played him in movies. I have lost the gun that came with him, which, if you want to get metaphorical, is also about how I lost you as a friend. He was the last gift given. By that point, something had shifted. We both knew it was over, yet we still smiled and spoke, neither of us willing to say what couldn't be said in words. Our friendship's shambling corpse, dead-eyed, slack-jawed, lifeless. We both knew I had failed. Our friendship an empty room that I never showed up to. Posters promising futures that never came. But the voices, the doubts, the smallness, the meanness, the pettiness, the ice-water milk-blood terror that took me away from you. 9 years gone, and I did something I find very difficult. I stood up for myself. It didn't bring you back. You never hated my brain, but I made you hate me. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Oh, thank you, Dominic. That was fantastic. That was brilliant. It was great to hear those edits that you've done since you first wrote it as well. I'm messing up the order now because Ruth has appeared. Do I need to do anything, Martin? Martin needs to run up here again. You're getting your steps in. Martin's coming to save you, Ruth, if you can hear us. I'm not allowed to touch any technology. Hold on, Ruth, we can't hear. Can you hear us? Oh, that's good. I was just thinking it's not still connected to my headphones, is it? Why isn't that working? It can't be my headphones. My headphones are upstairs. I was only... Surely not. They're not. Yay!
Thank you. So this is a poem that currently is untitled and still a work in progress, inspired by a poem by T.S. Eliot, at least in terms of thoughts. I thought you and I could take the long road, pretend we noticed the darkening sky and street lamps glow, your face sickly yellow. On the train there were so many grey faces, grey men in grey suits staring at the glow of screens, all dreaming of sleep. I measured the journey in coffee cups from a thermos flask, and the 2 journeys the coffee cart laid down the aisle, too narrow for hips and bags and passing. I counted the minutes on the underground, the blue line, named after a girl you once made cry. And did she deserve it? You tell it like she earned it, laugh at history. I keep my tongue behind a cage of coffee-stained teeth. You taught me the safety of silence. I dare not ask if you ever allow yourself to undress, leave your grey suit unarmed. Was it worth it? A search for gratitude like treasure, or pin-painted ladies, or bones unburied from HS2. We could have left them. I leave you at the river, stand on the side of the city you won't walk on. Your patent black shoes sink in mud, spoil. You walk barefoot on bramble, lead black trails in the unlit dark, which your shadow already knows how to hide in. You and I part ways at the river, watching weeds collect cigarettes, beer cans, plastic bags, black shoes. I leave you at the river, your face yellowing in the glow of your cigarette, and you will ask, was it worth it? Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Ruth. That was fantastic. And I forgot to say you're on the online poetry MA. Is that right? Yeah, because we're brilliant.
Yes, yeah.
Brilliant, thank you. And I also forgot to say hello to the people who are watching online as well. They're watching through YouTube, so I don't know, who can they see? Can they only see me? They can't see the audience, Martin? How does it work? Can they see him back there? So they can. So if you turn around, you could wave at them all if you wanted to. Or if you don't want to appear, you have to duck quick. But hello to the online people. It's lovely to have you virtually in the room with us. Okay, so we are carrying on. We've got two more students, I think. Next one is Cindy, who is on the first year undergraduate programme in creative writing. I'm lucky enough to teach Cindy as well. Cindy not only is a brilliant writer, but also keeps me really organised and knows more about what's happening on the course than I do. So please welcome Cindy.
Hello. This one is a work in progress and perhaps not very good, but we will see. It's titled LGBT. Compose a poem. Spill out the contents of your brain. No secrets kept away. Bound to paper. Don't refrain. Did you find good content? Is it useless again? No depth to look through. Shouldn't there at least be pain? There is nothing there. Your one thing won't cut it here. It's not interesting. Write one about transgender. I'm sure it'll go well, won't make anyone uncomfortable. Keep writing, don't think. Look at the quality at the table. I clearly see the point. Internet says there's enough LGBT. Keep this in the drafts. I'll write a funny one instead.
We have two more students because one's just wafted in. So next we're going to have Abhijit Singh, who is a doctoral candidate undertaking PhD research. What other verbs can we have that's better than undertaking? That sounded surviving PhD research here. So please welcome Abhijit.
Much like the PhD. This poem was earlier called 12 Poses for Young Poets, but now it has a less pretentious title. It's called Archaic. Begin solemn. Learn tulips in the dark by the light of tangerines. Begin volatile. Prepare for a coming funeral to which relatives do not come. Begin cross with the room. The door has to let somebody in, yeah, sure. Beg in shivers, goosebumps running to a field, let the sex chase them all. Begin around, see where it takes the feeling, an atmosphere, a dip in the sea close enough to drown. Begin limbless, then draw a hand from imagination, let it look deeply like an eye. Begin in threes. The prayer comes first, then comes a god whose blood is to be drawn before sunrise. Begin local. Pretend you're up for a sail, replace all the mirrors, do reflections. Begin quagmire. Meditate to convulse the tip of every word wrongly opened. Be ginger, as earth pressed as pressure goes. When in tea, head wishes a kinder burial. Begin by asking, would you fuck me? Add, please, let the spirit of time take you. Begin inland, disobey the tribe, declare loud the peace with enemies. At night, take each one of them out as they dream. Thank you.
That was fantastic, Abhijit. And I taught Abhijit on the MA, and I haven't heard your poetry for a while, and it feels like it's jumped off into new heights. I'm choosing the wrong verbs again, but you know what I mean. Sprung off would be better. Okay, so our final student who's going to read is John Clifford, who is currently on the MA in poetry. Not surviving, John. Thriving, aren't you, John? Thriving. Please welcome John Clifford.
You think you're on time, and it turns out you're late, which is the story of my life. This is a poem about Loss and family. It is days since my dad died. I'm standing at his graveside. My niece joins us here. Her hand folds into mine like the inner petal of a rose resting gentle against the protective roughage of its elder kin. Funeral flowers wilt in the warm Limerick morning, the sun beating down a sweat-inducing presence, just the sort he thought was pleasant. And looking at me earnestly, she asks, a little creepily, the only question on the mind of any 5-year-old at a time like this: is Grandad a skeleton yet? I look down at the blossoms, at a loss, horrible, complex. My niece is reaching for a type of simplicity which does not exist. It belies the pain that we are percolating in. A week before this, she was knocking on the doors of empty houses and asking her granddad to wake up when she saw him. I figure she finds a skeleton easier. After all, we are the custodians of the bright eyes and laughter lines of the ones that we love. We own the tremor of their hands, their faltering steps, and the rasp of their voices smoothing air, but bones, they're a common resource. Bones belong to everybody. I'm hopelessly tongue-tied for this little one, with her knowing blue eyes, but she is unperturbed, and so we slalom further down along her line of questions. At one point, she asks me, Uncle John, what will happen to your tattoos when you get old and wrinkly? And why do people get tattoos? And why have people left a pair of teddy bears, pink, glass-eyed, and entombed in shrink wrap on the next plot? And all of these are difficult riddles, but I stumbled on through. I'm holding my niece's hand and trying to pretend like I'm not looking for simplicity too. And we've reached a negotiation stage. She prizes the promise of ice cream from me in return for agreeing she will not abduct one of the mummified graveyard teddies to take home and to love. I think it's strange the things we do for respect of the dead. I tell her, time to go. And she turns her little head to me and asks why, when all the other graves are flat, Dad's is a tall, round mound. And I look back at that mess, scarring wound, a cemetery Everest of broken dirt and pebble, and my stomach roils like churned earth. It'll settle. It'll settle. Cheers.
It's brilliant. Thank you, John. That was really, really lovely. Okay, we're continuing on with welcoming Tina Cole, who is one of our alumni, who I had the pleasure of teaching during her MA, which I think was in 2023, online. So we've not really met in person before until today. Her work has appeared in lots of magazines and journals, which I'm not going to list. She's won several national poetry awards. Her latest pamphlet is What It Was, which is published by Mark Time Books. I'm going to brandish them. This is my table of props here. You might see some cups as well, but I'll tell you about those later. We need a woo for this as well, because I think writing a book is a bit like giving birth to a baby, a book baby, isn't it? So there you go. We have a... Thanks. Kate's on it. What It Was, and Forged. Available at the back of the room. Or for online people, they can get them at any good bookshop. The library. Personally from Tina. Right, so Tina is going to join us. I'm going to start wittering. Are you ready, Tina? Yes. You say you were born ready. So please welcome Tina Cole.
Hello, good evening. It's lovely to be here in Manchester. Peter and I were at university here light years ago. So we always enjoy coming back to spend time here, which is a delight for us. As Kim has already said, I'll move over this way, but has already said, I'm going to read from 2 books tonight. Forged was published in 2021, and this one in 2023. This is the book that has most of the poems that I workshopped on the MA. I was very fortunate to have amazing tutors, not the least of which was Kim here. So I'm going to tell you a bit about how the books came about, as well as read from them. Forged is very much a narrative book. It's about heritage, it's about place, and it hints at things ever so subtly. And that subtlety wasn't enough for me, which is why I went on to write what it was. I wanted to be saying more. I quite often said in workshops, I want to turn up the volume on what I'm writing. Kim found that very funny. I think it was Margaret Atwood who said that when you begin to write the personal, it's like going into an old house where you turn on the tap and the water comes out and it's not clean. And then you have to wait till it runs clear. I think Forged is my dirty water, and what it was is slightly clearer, but we'll get to that, I think. So it draws on my Black Country roots. I'm from Dudley originally, and it draws on the heritage that was my ancestry, which is long lived behind me, lots of extraordinary women particularly. And it draws on the idea of being forged, suggesting that I and my people were shaped by the heritage of place and time. That kind of passing the parcel idea that goes on in families. You pass it on. And it isn't always a nice parcel when you come to open it. So there was more I wanted to say when I'd finished this book. I wanted to write about dysfunctional things. I wanted to write about abuse. I wanted to write about a toxic relationship that I had with my mother. But who the hell wants to read that, you know? So that's a bit of a conundrum. That's the thing you have to work with. I felt I had to work with. I had to find a way forward. And that's where wonderful people like Kim came in to help me forward. So I'm going to start by reading just 4 poems out of Forged. So we have a bit of an arc here. We start with the narrative and we work into something that's a bit more emotional. So, landscape. My childhood town was backlit by chimneys. Firework explosions shot pell-mell into the skies. Its contours were shackled streets, back-to-backs, where every yard once knew the four-walled sweat of forging families. Tin bath in the yard. The arc of muscle tempering steel, sparks embroidering soot. Long-fingered canals joined the hands of black country towns, fed furnace mouths before factories socked men into piecework days, hours measured in pence, empty pockets rustling applause to their betters or benefactors. Half-sunken barges now evidence that bygone trade, the quiet conduit of water growing old in a stagnant bath. But mine will be a quiet return. I will seek out ghosts, linger on wasteland puddled with grief, while starlings stir skies into a murmuration of wordy swarf. And I will still be the person who left roots behind, who tried to grow an oak without them. I will lay artificial flowers on neglected graves. Look, here are my ancestors, trailing smoke and rage and debris. All those generations of blame and hot air. And still, they would spend their last coins on something for me. This girl in a yellow bedroom never asked for Robin Hood wallpaper. 3 odd rolls, 5 bob from the market. Dusted pelmet knick-knackery, jumble sale treasures from places she'd never been. Checked the fairy wishing well was intact, ever hopeful, just in case. knew not to jump on the bed and not to look underneath. Told wild mushrooming fantasies to dumb toys placed on every stair. Was told to be silent while arguments bounced about. Waited years for a sibling in the next room. Feared the electricity in brushed nylon sheets. Wanted a lock on the door. Turned the green dance set up to full volume. Danced 32 fouettes to a scratched LP. Became Odette. Became Odile. Waited for an audience. Self-portrait with rotten fruit. 1. I am knocking at number 62. Locked windows are riven with rain. I am fearful of the opening, fearful of the closing door, while behind me the day dwindles away, the sky cut with crimson, twitching lace, my mother's face flushed, red with rage, the loud slap and flare and accusation there on her doorstep. Long hoarded words spat out. Her shouts explode like pulp. Splattering bright stains, no chance to explain. And this is how it will always be. This moment in time, this freeze-framed tenure, adamantine. Self-portrait with rotten fruit. In my mother's kitchen, I tally rows of bottled fruit, reckoning familiar dates across decades. Each rubber seal is time-perished. Fruit pulp fermenting a foaming mess onto the slick of dust-thick shelves. Tipsy fruit flies swarm the boxy room, up over the plastic cloth under my clothes. No explanations are offered for the macerated mess of bright stains, the bruised years of rage. I take in toxic residues, a bellyache of wormy apples, still alive with the sting of late wasps. Under the stairs, lightning sleeps in whirring meters. Lazy pears lie down, wait to decay. So when I'd written some of that, I thought, kind of, possibly, it's getting there. Not really what I wanted to say, not enough of what I wanted to say. So I started on what it was. I wanted to engage much more directly with the kind of emotional landscape rather than the physical. But traumatic experiences are difficult for other people to read. But then, as a writer, you want to write your own personal truth. That's what you want to say. And so it's how to write about it without being too obviously confessional. You know that word that's been banged around a lot? Confessional. The first step was to read other folks. Who's written about this? Who's attempted to say the kind of things I want to say? I could give you a very long list. But some people that taught me things were Martin Figura, Whistle, if you haven't read it, recommend it to you. Sharon Olds, Walsallshire, Malika Booker, Pepperseed, wonderful. Caroline Bird, and of course Liz Berry, who wrote a lot about the Black Country. Poets were attempting to explore their adversity, and I was attempting to explore mine. That, I repeat, that passing the parcel idea. I experimented with the devices. I thought, how can I do this? So I looked at humour, metaphor, distancing, surrealism, just to get a handle on some challenging themes. So first I'm going to read the opening poem from What It Was, which actually came from a poem by Mark Strand, who writes really beautiful things. If you don't know him, I recommend him to you as well. I could recommend a lot of people. Okay, what it was. What it was hard to understand. The daily seismic shift. The mercurial morning, noon, and night of it. How we learn to negotiate, snap, crackle, pot meals, when to whisper, when to become pond skaters. It accumulated, edge to edge, bled like a red sock in a whitewash. Detonated a rise and fall rhythm, no lap-slap tide, more a suck, rattle, breathless undertow. It was Father's Sunday Chopin vibrating in crystal glasses. It was the surprise of a mother singing at the sink, a grandmother raking dead brothers from the ashes. It was skewed and skewered and stuck in a cul-de-sac, repetitive as nettles. It was knowing that whatever it was not malice. It was just what we carried in cardboard suitcases, stones, rocks, a mountain. How to reconstruct female ancestors. You must begin with the right kind of skin. Rhinoceros, elephant, a mouth to roll flat vowels, a temperament to boil kettles. Eyes, too, are important. Deep blue denim, pale blue dusk. Strong hands that can make sixpence turn its face into a shilling, wrap up bygone disasters in fish and chip news, keep plates spinning. Now define the fingers, callous and red blistered from strangling stains, palms closed to possibilities. Fists more crooked than clenched must be able to grasp brushes, dish rags, brooms, as if lives depend on them. Move on to legs. Leal-stockinged, bunioned-footed, silly, short, sturdy legs, made for standing in queues, bus stops, made for carrying the heft of a household. And feet that understand how to measure each step, dance the tarantella. Forget the torso. There's no need to know about the unwanted ones. Gin purged, tin bath soaked, blood shucked in a bucket, shawl-wrapped bodies with shoulder slanting signals. Focus on their ability to navigate lino edges, curtain hems, pegged hearth rugs, to set tables for afternoon tea, and end with the back, a slab, hunched, defiant. Cactus. Perhaps everyone in my family had a cactus that they slept with. Our histories insisted it was so. Yet there were never any physical scars. They sat in our houses for years, ugly, barbed squatters that we carried from one stained table to another, placed alongside the slew of crumbs and spilt milk, their existence always a bone of contention. Seemingly, they wanted nothing, expected less, and no one ever owned up to watering them. Very occasionally, these masqueraders flashed bright cerise blooms, offerings fit for a Buddha, but we never really took any notice. So, let's talk about the tentacled kraken that unpeopled our small ship. Let's talk of bees wreathing my mother's head, how she howled through empty-pocketed years, repetitive, bitten off more than you can chew days, the ritual smithereening, knotted words sprinkled on Weetabix, their Marmite aftertaste. Genetic hand-me-downs preserved like grandmother's Irish linen. Too much naphthalene, not enough lithium. How we passed the parcel, tore at layers, how her mind was a pink balloon untethered, and I kept morphing. A soft padding cat, an armadillo. I adopted ostrich behaviours, ran away to the city, and in the dirty windows of late night trains, her long dead face is slipping over mine, slipping over mine. Words. I take off my shoes to walk across polished lino. This conversation will be another surface with no grip. My mother says, "You look thin, you need a good meal," which means I wish she was still 5 years old. A 40-watt light bulb flickers overhead where insects are tearing limbs from flypaper. She says, "You have no idea how alone I am. At least there's always the canal," which means, remember, no matter what, the scales are always weighted. It will always be your fault. In the corner, something black and menacing is skating across its own safety net. She says, "I wish I'd stayed childless," and drinks another cup of stewed tea the same colour as the walls, which means I cannot bear all this grief. Like a river, something tidal, the Severn bore. On the radio, warnings are issued for coastal areas. She says, "The wind is like black wings beating." I begin to worry. Soon, the wary vixen will bare her teeth. Dam walls will break. She has ivy fingers that loosen brickwork, breath that freezes pathways, until it's not safe underfoot. I slip along home to my lighthouse, her words rolling around in my mouth, her critical conditions are my smoothed pebbles. Some days I wished you dead. Some days I wished myself dead. More than anything, I want to unknow scars and wasted chances thrown at the dartboard until the bullseye was blind. Why were our winters never tied to one season? Coldless, trawling, empty waste, 30 degrees below, and slippery with expletives. Why did we burgle each other? Hands around necks, nails in the scalp, fossicking for authentic roots, leaving shadows on our shoulders. Beyond this room, the city is unravelling. Car alarms are triggered, solitary people crossing the frame of vision in wet blurs. What are we afraid of? That sudden frailty, strength given away, donated over years until the account is overdrawn. Or approaching life's dusk alone and wraith-like in a grey woolen suit and Sunday best hat, hands folded neatly in your lap. I like it best now. You are not here. It is warm and quiet in this bed. Yet still I worry that you never surrendered all the keys. Whole. Afterwards, you leave a hole. Small and round and just off centre. I could not call it grief. It is simply a darkness beneath my breast, a sun and a moon in a cage of bones. A neat pastry circle, the centre lifting out cleanly like those you cut for mince pies. It passes right through, front to back, with no raw edges, just cold air rushing along the tiny tunnel. Other times it's a window where people stop, stoop, try to glimpse an inner life, but the view is to another place, another street where happy people live. Let's meet. Let's meet somewhere between the phoenix and her ashes, on an evening when the sky paints the sea in citrus and lime and tides rule the moon. Let's meet in a garden, tumultuous and pungent with colour, where we engage with the voices of poplar trees to make beautiful silence. Let's float inside a bottle of Veuve Clicquot, in that moment of smiling, not smiling, on the dark side of a distant world, inside walls that smell of something nasty, behind the red flock wallpaper. Let's slip inside a moleskin coat, pockets filled with Sobrani cocktail cigarettes, arms made of smoke. Get whipped up at the marriage of strawberries and cream, while headlights reflect garnets and pirate treasure in puddles on psychedelic tarmac. Let's meet when the caucus race has just begun and Alice only has Prozac in her pocket. Let's take a trip as the year begins to wane, as the planet implodes. Let's light a candle, whisper a fierce prayer for each flame, for each other. Let them linger on the eyelashes of china dolls, beneath the feathers of flightless birds, inside great Aunt Maud's satin corsets, whose silken cords are unravelling, allowing her at last to breathe, allowing us to speak a similar language. Thank you. Sorry it was so miserable.
Thank you, Tina. It wasn't miserable. It wasn't miserable. It was really beautiful. It was great to hear the poems across those two collections as well. Thank you so much for appearing. You are real, not just a figment of my imagination on the screen. Okay, so I'm going to welcome our next author, our next alumni now, Kate Lord-Brown. This is the first time, I was telling Kate, it's the first time we've had a novelist at the alumni readings. Thank you. It's not because I'm prejudiced against novelists. I haven't managed to lure one into my web yet, but now Kate's here. I'm not letting her escape. So Kate is an internationally published novelist. Her debut novel, The Beauty Chorus, was published in 2011 and apparently was workshopped during her time on the MA. And she's just published her 7th novel, The Golden Hour, hence The Golden Suitcase, with Simon & Schuster last year. And I think you're going to read from The Golden Hour. Would you like a chair or are you going to stand? Okay. If you fall, I'm sure this young man will catch you because he's very on it. So please welcome Kate Lord-Brown.
Thank you very much. Well, I feel very honoured to be here as a novelist. I do actually read poetry every day at home. I think for a novelist, it's almost like going to the gym because poets really do get all the words in the right order. So I find it very, very inspiring. I write historical fiction, if you haven't come across my work. I'm always looking for those amazing bits of forgotten history that make you think, wow, why doesn't everybody know about this? And very often that's women's history. I think all novels really begin with a question, and the start for The Golden Hour was, why do all the archaeologists look like that? I guess you probably recognise this chap, Howard Carter, the moustache, the bow tie. I'm not saying that there weren't possibly some ladies out there with both of those things, but it took quite a lot of research to find some first-hand accounts of women working in Cairo in the 30s. So that was really the factual start for the book. And it's a twin timeline, so there's also a strand that takes you into the 70s in Beirut. So I'm going to read to you from the beginning of the book. And this is in Egypt in the summer of 1939. Come on, take my hand, Juno says. Have you done this before? Polly shields her eyes from the desert sun. No, I was waiting for you. Polly looks uncertainly up the soaring face of the Great Pyramid of Giza. 450 feet above her, the people near the top look like ants. She wishes Fitz was here. He'd give her confidence. She's dying to say, you go ahead, Jew. I'm happy waiting here. But she can't let her down. The hot desert wind whips her dark curls. It slips beneath her linen shirt, creeps along her spine like a whisper. Go on. You can do this. She wipes her sweating brow with the back of her hand and rubs it on the seat of her trousers. One day, she tells herself, this will be a great story. Did I ever tell you about the time I climbed the Great Pyramid? Can you imagine? It's so high. Trust me, Juno calls. Polly scrambles up the first couple of blocks and gazes up at Juno, towering above her in a white shirt and khakis. Her canvas bag slung across her body. Her shining blonde hair falls forward, a halo framing her face. You'll exhaust yourself doing it that way, Pol. Watch how I'm doing it. Push yourself up onto your bottom and swing your legs up. She pauses, catching her breath to watch Polly climb the next stones. There you go. I'll race you. Loser buys the drinks at Manor House. Juno and Polly scale Khufu's Great Pyramid, helping one another up again and again, until after 15 minutes, Juno leaps ahead, standing on the platform at the top with her arms outstretched to the sky. Make mine a gin sling, she cries, and Juno hauls Polly up. God, this view, isn't it marvellous? It's just how I imagined. Didn't I tell you it'd be worth it? She catches her breath. Just look at that sun. No wonder Nefertiti worshipped it as a god. The vast disk of light shimmers a fiery rose, casting a shadow 3/4 of a mile long across the plain. I've been dying to climb this pyramid. Not literally, I hope, Jew. Be careful, sit down. Polly sits with her back pressed securely against the hot limestone, legs and arms trembling with exertion, with fear. When does it get dark here? She has a horrible feeling that going down will be worse. I always forget you've got a shocking head for heights, Juno says, sitting beside her. You do look a bit green, darling, but aren't you glad that I waited for you to arrive? She focuses her camera on the silver palm-fringed edge of the Nile, a river of liquid light. Far away, a group of people in jewel-bright robes dot the waterline like gemstones, turquoise and pink. Isn't it beautiful? The Nile used to flow much closer to the pyramids, and this was all lush. Has anyone actually died climbing this? Polly interrupts, gripping the edge of the stone with white knuckles. Oh, probably, Juno says cheerfully. When it was built 4,500 years ago, the sides were cased in smooth, white limestone. Can you imagine how it must have shone? Polly has the ghastly feeling that her feet are sliding, as if the pyramid were a living thing flattening beneath her clenched toes. Each stone is slippery with sand, and they will have to jump down again and again. There's nothing to hold on to if I fall. She imagines herself tumbling head over heels down to the sand. Yeah, I imagine lots of people have slipped over the years. Juno nudges her. Don't worry, I'll hold your hand. She opens her palm and shows the fine white scar there. Polly does the same, and Juno laces their fingers together. I'm so glad that you're here, Paul. It hasn't been, well, Hasn't been as much fun as perhaps it seemed from my letters. I know. Polly waits for Juno to look at her. Is it Alec? He hasn't. Juno hesitates. She lets out a sigh and rests her head on Polly's shoulder. You know, she murmurs, the ancient Egyptians are incredible astronomers. This pyramid is oriented to 2 bright stars in the north so that Khufu's soul would rise up. Vega. Polly cries out their catchphrase. Vega, their guiding star, watching down on them through the years. Vega. Juno's face softens. No, these were different stars. Jew, Polly says, you would tell me if something's wrong. Of course. Juno smiles, but Polly senses a tension in her. I'm fine. Really I am. It's like walking on eggshells around him. He's obsessed with this bloody war that everyone says is coming. Surely they'll see sense. Fitz thinks it's inevitable. That's why they've posted him here. Be brave, Paul, he said to her on the train from Alexandria. I'm not going to let anything happen to me. Not now that I've found you. Then we're all in it together. Juno hauls Polly up and gestures down the perilous slope. Shall we? Part 1. The weight of the heart. If light is in your heart, you will find your way home. Rumi. Bellevue, Lebanon. Easter Sunday, 30th of March, 1975. It was and it was not so. At first light, Polly walked out to the yard lost in thought. She unbolted the stable block and swung back the high red doors. This was her favourite time of the day. Before the grooms arrived, it was just her and the stable cats below, the doves and chickens rousing themselves from the roosts above. Somewhere in the hills, an owl called. Polly flicked on the office light and it hummed in the silence. She had been thinking of Juno when she woke, and her thoughts stayed with the young girls on a summer lawn long ago. Polly had gazed at the silver frame photo on her lamplit bedside table. A group of people in a casuarina-shaded garden of a villa a few miles out of Cairo. It was a perfect moment suspended in time like a scorpion in amber. The last of summer, 1939. The day, in retrospect, that changed everything. The black and white faces had life breathed into them, colorized, and the hills beyond were storybook lavender. The palm-fringed Nile a celestial blue. The sky rose pink, as so many sunsets are in Egypt still. The faces of those loved and lost. The first that Polly saw each morning and the last at night. Sunday, the 3rd of September, 1939. They listened to the Empire service on the wireless along with the rest of the world. This country is at war. It seemed impossible to comprehend when everything in Cairo was so plentiful. Looking at the photo now as she put on her dressing gown, she remembered the day, the feel of the sun, the hot wind on her skin. Life must be lived forwards and often only appreciated backwards. Lately, Polly's memory swung to and fro down the years, revisiting all of the what-ifs, the maybes and almost, the pendulum of a clock winding down. Now the cry of the dawn call to prayer passed like a silken thread in the sky from minaret to minaret, from the past to the present. It was and it was not so. To begin a tale like that is more truthful than once upon a time, for every story is told slant. No event is seen the same way by two people. No story is entirely true. Memory is a slippery creature. The past shifts and rearranges like the glass beads of a kaleidoscope. Gazing at the photograph, Polly walked the garden in her mind. She saw all the truths and lies hidden behind the masks of smiling faces. And the face that can't be seen, she thought, who was there for a while, just a moment. She walked slowly back to the house to rest and trailed her hand over the roses by the front door. I have the first roses. She thought of her grandmother's garden in Cornwall, the avenues of lavender and sky blue hydrangeas leading down to the sea. She would run along the centre paths at dusk, coming home from the beach. Home. I'm Fernware, she remembered Junior saying once, always running away, desperate to explore. You are Heimware, Paul, homesick for somewhere that never even existed. It's like the Portuguese Saudade or the Celtic Heraeth. Homesick, Polly said. All I want is to belong somewhere. You'll see. There are places you haven't been yet that will feel like coming home. Sometimes, even now, Polly dreamt of home, though she hadn't set foot in England for 30 years or more. She looked up at the sky, still flushed with dawn rose light, the silver scythe of the moon, the last stars lingering. Our guiding star, Vega. Polly smiled and pulled a shawl closer around her shoulders. She touched the nape of her neck. The cords stood proud. What was it she'd read once? His cords are up. A sure sign I'm on my last legs. She heard Rena whinnying from the stable. I remember the day I met your great-grandmother, she thought, at the farm west of Cairo. Darrell Lane wasn't smart or ostentatious, it was just a good house. It was near the place that Rommel had earmarked to make his home if the invasion went to plan. Polly thought back, remembering the first time she'd seen the house. The girls had sped out to the lanes, laughing and singing. It was the golden hour, she thought. Light dancing on the water, Juno driving too fast, always too fast. They passed Fellaheen, women with baskets of herbs on their head, selling oranges at the side of the road. She saw buffaloes trudging round and round a wooden wheel, pumping water just as they had for thousands of years. She saw the girls as if from a distance. Polly and Juno, if only she could hold that moment before it all went wrong. The past, the present, one. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Kay. That was really brilliant. I can't believe when you held up a picture of Howard Carter as well, because I know about him because when he opened the tomb, he found the two oldest trumpets in the world. I'm a trumpet player. So I nearly squealed in excitement then. It doesn't take much. Okay, we're going to have a very quick Q&A, and I might even limit myself to one question, or not even any questions, and maybe throw it to the audience. So while Kate and Tina come up here, you can quickly... Will I let them refill their glasses, James, or will it be chaos?
You're the boss.
I mean, if I don't, I can't get to do my joke.
Oh, right, yes, we've got to fill your glasses then.
Okay, so you get to fill your glasses. You can use a big cup, or if that seems a bit uncouth, we have these ones. And if that isn't, we also have these little teeny tiny ones. And we thought, we're all about building community. So if they are not good enough, you can drink from each other's hands. No, use the cups. Use the cups. It will make less mess, and Martin will not shout at me for getting drink all over the floor. So if you want to go and refill your glasses very quickly, I'm going to station someone at the back to round you back up like a literature sheepdog, so that you can't get out. And then think of a good question. We just need a couple of questions to ask Kate and Tina to finish off the evening. Okay. Go, go, go. Drinks, walking, stretching.
Well done, by the way. Actually, put them over there where the chairs or the junk is. You both okay? I think you should share the mic. That works.
and I'll give Kim the other one. Okay, hold on. That's Kim, yeah, I'll start. Just try it, yeah. It just upset now.
Does anyone have a question for Tina or Kate? This is what it's like in class. Welcome to my life. Come on.
How did you go about researching the genealogy of your family?
Shall I repeat it for the online people? So it's a question about how you research the genealogy of the family.
Hello. Thank you. When my mother passed away, there was 5 generations worth of stuff in her house. So it was all there, most of which I knew because it had been very much the topics of conversation as I grew up. So there wasn't much research really done, apart from looking at what I actually had in my hands.
The thing that I love about writing 20th century history is it's within touching distance. So, I don't know if you know the definition of historical fiction is 50 years after the event, which tragically means that my childhood is now, history. But I wrote, the first book that I wrote, which I actually wrote as part of the course here, was The Beauty Chorus, and that was about the women who flew Spitfires. And I'm married to a pilot, and I've got pilots in the family, and I had no idea about the story of these incredible young girls who were, teenagers, half of them, and some of them didn't have a driving license, but for one reason or another, they could fly a plane. So, they went in and they were ferrying these incredible planes all over the country. And as part of the research, I actually managed to get hold of a couple of the women who were still alive at that point. So this is like 15 years ago it was published. And they were all in their sort of late 90s by that point. But my God, they were tough. They didn't take any prisoners at all. And they were very, very cross that there was a sort of romantic strand in the book because they thought that, nobody had time for romance. And my God, we didn't cry when one of us died. We didn't have that, time for that, darling. But this one woman that I spoke to called Betty Lucier was so angry that they wouldn't let the girls fly into Europe that she left the ATA and joined SOE as a spy and had this amazing whole sort of second wartime career and fell in love with an Italian count. And, she came out with, there's a whole other book just in the rest of her life. But, I think that's the amazing thing to me about writing history is you get these untold stories that you won't find in the historical textbooks because they're amazing and personal and intimate. So I hope, does that answer your question? Yeah. Thank you.
Great. Anybody else?
Yeah.
I don't know if the online people can hear it. So do you go to the places that you research about, and did you climb on top of a pyramid and do all the things in the, maybe not all the things, but some of the things in the book?
Yeah, I mean, I've been lucky enough to live and work overseas most of my life, so it's part of the world that I know really well. You're not actually allowed to climb pyramids anymore, unfortunately. At least in Egypt, you're not. I did actually climb a pyramid in Mexico, and it was the most terrifying experience of my entire life. And I was crawling down backwards, crying, coming down to it. So,
Hey, is that how you did the name?
yeah, it's an old war wound. That sounds much better than running upstairs, doesn't it? Yeah, no, it's from climbing a pyramid in Mexico.
Any other questions? I have a question. Seeing as there's a few students here, what advice would you give to writing students, apart from listen to your tutors, turn up to class and answer questions when we want you to?
Advice about what in particular?
About becoming a writer, maybe like a piece of advice that sustained you as a writer, because you've both been writing for a number of years, and I think one of the things is like keeping going. I was talking earlier to Kate about, I've been talking about this sense of community, and is that something that sustained you as writers? Maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Well, I belong to lots of writing groups. I'm lucky that I live on the border of 3 counties, so I go to lots of different writing groups, and I'm engaged with that quite a lot. So my poor husband calls himself a poetry widow. So I do go to lots of poetry events, so that is sustaining. I think the one piece of advice I'd say is believe in your writing. Believe in your writing. No one else can write what you can write. You're the only one who can say what you want to say. So believe in it. And you will all have different ways of saying it and doing it. And don't let other people put you off that. Because it's so easy to go to a group and someone says, oh, I wouldn't have put that line there and all this. Just believe in yourself, I would say.
When you're talking about groups, you're talking about going and taking a poem, getting feedback.
Yes, sorry. So I'm talking about stanza groups, Poetry Society things, and other poetry groups. So yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think as Kim and I were saying earlier, I think one of the real beauties of doing your master's or your PhD here, it's your cohort. I'm still in monthly contact with the guys that I did the MA with back in 2010, I think I started. And we still meet up each year at Moniac Moor with our tutor. And there's a group of about 20 of us, sort of, it's like a movable feast. But we all, we know each other's writing inside out. And it's a huge privilege and support, I think, to work within a group of people that really, you can trust them showing them a first draft, because you know that they will tell you if it's crap, and they will, hold you up if you're having a wobble, because, writing is a tough, solitary thing to do, and it's really lovely having a group of people who've got your back. So, make the most of your cohort and treasure them.
You're still in touch with the people you did the MA with. I know you are as well, because you've got a quote from Deborah Harvey, who was in our group. I think that idea that the people we meet, I did the MA here years ago, and the people we meet on the MA are just as important, I think, or during an undergrad, just as important as the tutor in a way, because they're the people you keep staying in touch with and keep sending your writing to, and any final question? Go on, John. This better be a good one, John. No pressure. It's going to be the last one, I think. Question about how to, when you've got 5 generations worth of material, how to kind of decide what you're going to choose and what's going to go in the book.
I would say that I was looking for an emotional response. So not the things per se, but how that made me feel and how, you know, it's not what it was, it's how it's come about, you know. So it's not just about, oh, look what happened to me, look what happened to this person and this, and that's what I was looking for, that thread of, you know, the ancestry there. And that's what I picked up on and wanted to work with. And although there was tons of stuff I could have, you know, objects I could have written about, I didn't go for that. It was the feeling I wanted to go with. I don't know if that's any help.
Here from, it sounds like you is that if I speak like this, will it pick me up? It sounds like you just allow yourself to fall go for it instead of going, no, that's bad, I should be.
Oh, no. Well, I think, you know, I think all writers are magpies, aren't we? You know, I think Virginia Woolf called them diamonds in the dust heap. You know, you catch a glimpse of this kind of amazing fact or like a beautiful image or something. And it does, I mean, it just sort of sends you spiraling off into, you know, and maybe you'll have the same experience if you're working on a piece of work here. Your next book is coming along here and it's gorgeous and it's perfect and you haven't written a word of it yet, but it's going to be the best book ever. You know, it's like a constant revolving stage of inspiration and characters chattering away in the wings waiting to come out. So the research is, you know, I love it, but at some point you do actually have to sit down and start writing, which is the hard part.
Thank you so much, both of you, for being so generous with your time and your energy and your answers. We are going to finish off here. So thank you to you both. Thank you to the students who have come to support
Thank you.
with their brilliant readings. Thank you to Martin and the team at the back and the student ambassadors. Is that your official title? Student ambassadors. Thank you for especially your work with the microphone and being ready to catch people if they fall over. I mean, I want to take you around with me now, wherever I go, to catch me if I fall. And thank you to lovely audience for coming out, and the online people. We will see you soon, hopefully, in a physical space somewhere. And books. Yeah, go buy some books so the books don't have to book off home. So the writers don't have to carry the books away. Books are available at the back, and I'm sure they'll be very happy to sign. And we've got a little bit of time to float about and ask them questions while we pack up. Well, let's be honest. Well, sensible people pack up, and I waft about again. So thank you again to everyone, and we'll see you next time.